In the world of Dragon Ball, aging can be a little confusing. For the most part, characters do age like people in the real world. They get older year after year in a linear pattern. However, there are certain factors in Dragon Ball that can heavily change the way characters age. Things like the Room of Spirit and Time make it so characters can age an entire year in just a single day. Then we have things like the Other World where they don't age at all, at least not physically, which makes things a bit confusing when those characters get wished back to life with the Dragon Balls. Goku is one of the few characters who has experienced just about every one of these factors that have affected the way he ages, and not only that, but he's a Saiyan, an alien race that maintains their youthful appearance the older they get so they can remain in their prime for much longer than humans. Combine all these factors together and it's not surprising why fans get confused about how old Goku actually is, but that all changes today. To understand Goku's age, we have to start from the very beginning in age 737, the year that he was born on planet Vegeta. Right off the bat, we're already dealing with a few inconsistencies because originally Goku was sent to Earth as a newborn right before the destruction of planet Vegeta. It's pretty straightforward, but more recently, the Dragon Ball Minus one-shot toyed around with that story by aging Goku up to about 3 years old when he was sent off by his mother and father. In order for Dragon Ball Minus to make sense, one of two things had to have happened. Goku's birth year was either pushed back to age 734, or the destruction of planet Vegeta was pushed forward to age 739 or 740. It can't possibly be that first option because we know that Goku is 12 years old at the start of Dragon Ball, which takes place in age 749, so Goku had to have been born in age 737 for that to make sense. Either way, this is such an insignificant portion of Goku's life that the only thing that really matters was that he was very young when he was sent to Earth. Fast forward to age 749 and Goku is now 12 years old at the beginning of Dragon Ball. Keep in mind, Goku does say that he's 14 at the beginning of the Emperor Pilaf arc, but he ends up correcting himself later on, saying that he's actually 12, confirming that he was born in age 737. 1 year later in age 750, the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai and Red Ribbon Army arcs take place and Goku is now 13 years old. Master Roshi tells Goku to prepare himself for the next tournament that would take place 3 years later, so we know that when Goku enters the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, the year is then age 753, and he's 16 at that point in the timeline. Age 753 is also the same year that the Piccolo Daima arc takes place, and the defeat of the Demon King at the hands of Goku leads directly into the reincarnation/birth of Piccolo Jr., but he won't cross paths with Goku for a few more years. After the defeat of Piccolo Daima, Goku heads up to Kami's lookout to train with Kami and Mr. Popo before entering the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai in age 756 at age 19. Throughout the series, we've seen Goku physically grow in short segments, but this is the first time where there's a drastic difference in his physical appearance as he's much taller to reflect that he's now become a young adult. During the tournament, Goku squares off against and eventually defeats Piccolo Jr., and he also reunites with Chi-Chi, a girl that he had met way back in the Pilaf arc, and the two of them eventually get married. That marks the end of the original Dragon Ball portion of the series, and they begin a new life together. Up until now, Goku's age has remained pretty linear. It doesn't start getting confusing until the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, which takes place 5 years after the defeat of Piccolo Jr., who we can now just call Piccolo. Now it's age 761, and a 24-year-old Goku has a 4-year-old son named Gohan, who gets kidnapped by a mysterious invader from outer space, an alien who reveals himself as Goku's older brother, Raditz. Age 761 is the year that Goku dies for the very first time, and this is where his age gets split into different segments. Going forward, he's going to have a physical age and a calendar age. He's physically 24 years old when he dies fighting Raditz, but when he gets sent to the other world, he doesn't age for that entire year that he trains with King Kai. That's because in the afterlife, people don't physically age, but the calendar years don't stop for those that are living, so when Goku gets revived with the Dragon Balls a year later in age 762, he is still physically 24 during the battle against Nappa and Vegeta, but his calendar age is now 25. The entirety of the Frieza arc takes place in that same year, so Goku is still physically 24 and mentally 25 when he transforms into a Super Saiyan for the first time, and he goes missing during Planet Namek's explosion. Then, 1 year later in age 763, Earth's Dragon Balls are used to revive those killed by Frieza and his men, but it's revealed that Goku never died during Namek's explosion, and he spends another year in space training with the Yardrats up until the arrival of Mecha Frieza in age 764. By the time Goku returns to Earth, there had been a mini 2-year time skip that a lot of fans overlook because it happened so quickly. By the time he meets future Trunks, Goku's calendar age is now 27, but he is physically 26. Trunks warns Goku and his friends about the threat of the androids and also gives Goku medicine for a heart virus that kills him in the future timeline, aka the original Dragon Ball timeline. I don't want to get into the messy concept of timelines right now, but because of future Trunks, this is officially where the main timeline diverges from the original timeline. After Mecha Frieza is defeated, we then get another 3-year time skip. In age 767, the threat of the androids officially arrives and Goku is now 30 years old, but physically 29 years old. When Cell shows up, Goku takes Gohan into the Room of Spirit and Time in hopes of surpassing the Super Saiyan transformation, and this is where things get a bit confusing because the concept of time is entirely different in the Room of Spirit and Time, which I'll just call the Time Chamber for convenience. If you spend a full calendar year in the Time Chamber, that equates to just a single day in the outside world. Goku and Gohan spent a full year training together in the Time Chamber to master their Super Saiyan forms, so when they emerged, it was only the day after they first entered, meaning it was still age 767, but now we have to add the time from the Time Chamber onto their ages. Because they were in there for a full year, Goku's physical age caught back up to where it should have been had he not died during the battle against Raditz. However, he still aged while in the Time Chamber, so even though he caught back up to his calendar age physically, he's now mentally 31. So going forward, Goku technically has 3 different ages that we can look at: his calendar age, his physical age, and his mental age. You confused yet? It's only going to get more confusing because after leaving the Time Chamber, Goku ends up sacrificing himself against Cell and remains in the other world for the next 7 years. The Buu arc takes place in age 774, and Goku gets the privilege to visit his friends and family on Earth, but he's still dead throughout the majority of the arc. Because he has been dead for 7 years, Goku's physical age is still 30, the same as it was when he fought Cell, but we now have to add on the 7 years that he was dead to his mental age. Since he was mentally 31 when he fought against Cell, his mental age now in age 774 would be 38. And had he never spent that year in the Time Chamber with Gohan, his calendar age should be 37. And a quick side note, I'm going to keep mentioning Goku's calendar age throughout the video to show you just how different his physical and mental ages are to how old he should be if he aged normally. Toward the end of the Buu arc, Old Kai gave his life to Goku, essentially reviving him and giving him a third chance at life. So when the Yo-Son Goku special takes place 2 years later in age 776, Goku is physically 32 and mentally 40. Then another 2 years passes until the God of Destruction Beerus wakes up, and the Battle of Gods arc takes place 4 years after the defeat of Kid Buu in age 778. This means that at the start of Dragon Ball Super, Goku is now physically 34 years old, 42 years old mentally, and his calendar age should be 41. 1 year later in age 779, the Resurrection F arc takes place and Goku is 35 years old physically and 43 years old mentally when he fights Golden Frieza. Then, in preparation for the Universe 6 tournament, Goku spends 3 more years in the Room of Spirit and Time with Vegeta. When the two of them emerge, Goku's physical age is pushed a bit closer to his calendar age as he is now 38 years old physically and his calendar age is 42. But keep in mind, he's still mentally aged after all these times in the Time Chamber, so now he's mentally 46. The next year is age 780, the same year that the Tournament of Power takes place as well as the events of Dragon Ball Super Broly and part of the Moro arc. Goku is now physically 39 years old, mentally 47 years old, but his calendar age should be 43. Goku and Maris use a Room of Spirit and Time during the Moro arc that is similar to the one on Earth, but they're not in it long enough to make any drastic changes to Goku's age. Then, a few months after the Moro arc, which likely spanned into the beginning portions of age 781, the Granola arc likely takes place throughout the entirety of that year and possibly extends into age 782. It's hard to tell because a lot of the hints that we get in the manga just say something inconclusive like some time has passed or a few months later, stuff like that. In this period between ages 781 and 782, Goku would either be 40 or 41 years old physically, 48 or 49 years old mentally, and his calendar age would be 44 in age 781 and 45 in age 782. Moving forward, what we do know is that Superhero takes place soon before the end of Z, sometime in age 783, as Goku's granddaughter Pan is confirmed to be 3 years old in the movie, almost 4, which is how old she is at the 28th Tenkaichi Budokai. By now, Goku should be 42 years old physically, 50 years old mentally, and 46 years old going off of his birth year. That's where we currently are in the Dragon Ball Super manga, but there's still more content to cover. The End of Z storyline takes place 10 years after the defeat of Kid Buu, and a few months to a year after the events of Superhero. When Goku meets Oob in age 784, he's 43 years old physically, 51 years old mentally, and his calendar age should be 47. And that is where the original manga ended. There is still a lot of opportunity for Toyotaro to take Dragon Ball Super past the End of Z, and with Dragon Ball Daima releasing soon, it's 100% possible that we see an even older Goku going on many more adventures and making his age much more confusing. But until that comes out, these are the definitive final ages for Goku at the end of the original manga. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you enjoyed what you watched, please do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up. It helps recommend this video out to more people, and it will greatly help this channel grow and become better. If you want more Dragon Ball content like this, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on future content. Thank you all so much for watching, and until my next video, I will be seeing all of you Dragon Ball fans later. See ya!